The history of religious interactions in South India is not really what Twitter and WhatsApp tell you. Let me give you an example. Every year, millions of devotees congregate at the gold-plated shrine of the Hindu god Ayyappa in the Sabarimala temple in Kerala. Thousands undertake an arduous forest trek of over 60 kilometers to reach there, and of those, many start from the town of Erumeli, where they perform an ecstatic dance. They break coconuts and offer them along with pepper and rice to the god. They do all this on the premises of a grand mosque of Vavar Swami, a Muslim saint believed to have lived between the 9th and 14th centuries, joined by Muslim devotees of Ayyappa. After arriving at Sabarimala, they also paid their respects to Vavar in a shrine at the foot of the Ayyappa temple itself. Now, today, both Hindu and Muslim devotees believe that they must take Vavar's permission before worshipping Ayyappa, since the former was his devotee or companion. But Vavar is just one example. For hundreds of years, the lines between Hindu and Muslim belief and myth have been pretty blurry in South India. Let's dive in. I'm Anirudh Kanisetti, historian author of Lords of the Deccan. Welcome to Thinking Medieval, where every week we tell you something new about our complex, innovative past. Always feel free to check out our research and citations below, and remember that we're all figuring out how to think about our messy, bloody, dazzling history. Ayyappa is just one among many Hindu deities who have Muslim companions. In medieval South India, even the most elite temples integrated Muslims into their mythologies and worship. In the 13th century, for example, when Ayyappa at Sabarimala was a relatively local god, Ranganatha at Srirangam and Venkateshwara at Tirumala already attracted royal patrons and endowments from hundreds of kilometers away, and each of these gods is believed to have married a Muslim princess devoted to him, Tulukka Nachiyar and Bibi Nancharamma respectively. The worship of these goddesses continues to this day and is a part of the temple's annual ritual calendar. But perhaps the most interesting example of this phenomenon comes to us through a Deccan pastoralist god known as Mallanna in Telangana, Mylar in Karnataka, and Khandoba in Maharashtra. Elite worshippers believe that he is a form of Shiva, but he is primarily worshipped by the quote-unquote lower castes and migratory peoples. His myths are astonishingly vibrant, incorporating influences from many different communities and traditions. At Jejuri, which is Khandoba's largest center, he is believed to have 5 wives. G.D. Sondheimer, an expert on Indian folk traditions, lists them in the book Criminal Gods and Demon Devotees. Quote, Malsa, a Lingayat, Banai, a Dhangar shepherdess, Pulai Malan from the gardener caste, Rambhai Simpin, the tailor woman, and Chandai Bhagwani, a Muslim woman. Chanda is believed to have been from the oil presser caste. Now, oral epics relate stories of these wives and their arguments and reconciliations over ritual purity. One refrain documented by Sondheimer goes, Banu, Banai and Malsa are of different castes, but for the god Mallari or Khandoba, they eat from the same plate. In one of his legends, the god even visits Mecca to obtain sacred turmeric for a future wife and introduces his denizens to biryani, my favorite food. Muslims also play important roles in the rituals of Khandoba. On Somvati Amavasya days, he is carried in a palanquin for a hunting expedition. The procession is led by a Muslim who attends to the god's horse. A Muslim is also traditionally Khandoba's policeman and the guardian of his stables at Jejuri. Muslims call the god Mallu Khan or Ajmat Khan, and he may be depicted as a Pathan on horseback. The fact that Mallu Khan is the same as Shiva can be seen in an inscription dated 1703 from Epigraphia IndoMoslemica, page 20. Sri Gurulinga Jangama Vibhuta Rudraksha Bhusena Sadashiva Sankara Sambhu Mahadeva Maharudra Mallus Khan. Epithets usually applied to Shiva like Shankara, Shambhu, Mahadeva and Rudra are also used for Mallu Khan. Interestingly, we also see the converse of this phenomenon where communities we think of as Hindu venerate Muslim figures. The most noticeable example of this is Pirla Pandaga, or the festival of the Sufi peers, an annual Muharram celebration in Telangana where lower castes participate in processions and worship at dargahs. What all these reveal is that in popular worship, sacred figures offer a space where local groups signal their places in the community. That's why Khandoba's wives are each from a different caste and play a specific role in his rituals. This isn't simply a matter of religious tolerance, but rather a sign that local traditions and social hierarchies transcended religion. Deities like Tulukka Nachiyar and Bibi Nancharamma as princesses were a node for elite Muslims to patronize and participate in the worship of royal gods. Similarly, writes Dominique Silla Khan in Lines and Water, Religious Boundaries in South Asia, Chandai Bhagwani and Vavar Swami show that Muslims from working class backgrounds actively participated in local traditions, often through legends that one of their own was a companion of a god. Yet another example of this phenomenon is Muttal Ravuttan, a Muslim who acts as the bodyguard of Draupadī, the wife of the Pandavas and a popular mother goddess in rural Tamil Nadu. Today, occasional examples of Indian Muslim kings attacking temples are portrayed as proof that relations between Islam and Hinduism have always been driven by hate and intolerance. But the truth is that temple destruction was not always seen as hatred towards all Hindus, even by Hindus. If that were really the case, we would certainly not see local Hindu communities such as Khandoba, Ayappa and Draupadi worshippers actively incorporating Muslim occupational groups. Elite violence did not get in the way of daily life until 20th century nationalism projected its own anxieties into the past. After all, the Hoysala king Vishnuvardhana claims in Epigraphia Carnatica, Volume 5, Hassan district number 53, that he left so many Tamilian skulls across the Kaveri river that they stopped the flow of the southern winds. But medieval Tamils did not hold all Kannadigas responsible. In fact, the Srirangan temple, where the Muslim princess Tulukka Nachiyar was later worshipped, was quite pleased to accept gifts from Hoysala Vishnuvardhana's descendants. When there is continuing evidence of Muslims being integral to local traditions and economies, why are occasional attacks on elite institutions considered the only metric by which we can gauge religious interactions in the diverse world of medieval India? Most of our ancestors were not the conquering kings. We are the great-grandchildren of the little people who came up with such accommodations. Instead of appreciating the diversity of our ancestors' legacies, I think that it's really silly that we insist on imagining into existence grievances that our ancestors did not hold. I know this might be a contrarian opinion, so if you have questions or comments, we'd love to hear them. Follow us everywhere on social media. You can find me on Instagram at anirbuddha and at Connected Histories and on Twitter at akaniseti. We'll see you next week.